There's a certain kind of desperation that comes when your bank account hits zero. It makes you blind to red flags. It makes you take jobs you should walk away from. 2 years ago, I dropped out of college. I had no money, no car, and a mountain of debt. So when I saw a Craigslist ad for a night auditor position at a small, independent motel on Route 9, I didn't think twice. The pay was surprisingly high for a job that just required sitting behind a desk from midnight to 8 a.m. I should have asked why it paid so well. The motel was completely isolated. It sat on the edge of a dense, dark pine forest, miles away from the nearest town. When I arrived for my first shift, the old manager, an exhausted-looking man named Arthur, was waiting for me. He didn't smile. He just handed me a heavy set of keys and a single crumpled piece of paper. "Everything you need to know is on this list," he muttered, not making eye contact. "Lock the lobby doors at midnight. Do not open them for anyone, not even the police. And whatever you do, follow rule number 4. Before I could ask him what he meant, he walked out into the rain, got into his truck, and drove off. I was completely alone. I sat behind the bulletproof glass of the front desk and looked at the crumpled piece of paper. It was a list of rules written in frantic, messy handwriting. Rule 1. The coffee machine must be cleaned by 2 a.m. Rule 2. We do not rent out room 7. If the phone rings from room 7, let it ring. Do not pick it up. Rule 3. Keep the lobby blinds drawn after 1 a.m. Do not look at the tree line. And then there was rule number 4. Rule 4. If you hear someone you know begging for help outside the lobby doors, close your eyes and cover your ears. It is not them. They are hundreds of miles away. Do not look at its face. By 1:30 a.m., the boredom was heavy. The only sound was the relentless rain hitting the glass. But then, the front desk phone rang. I jumped, my heart pounding in my chest. I looked down at the caller ID display. It glowed in the dark. Room 7. My breath caught in my throat. We didn't rent out room 7. I knew for a fact the room was empty, padlocked from the outside. I stared at the phone. It just kept ringing. 7 times, 8 times, 10 times. Finally, with a sharp click, it stopped. The silence that followed was suffocating. I tried to calm myself down. Just faulty wiring, I thought. Just a glitch. I turned back to my computer. That was when I heard the tapping. It was coming from the heavy glass lobby doors. Tap, tap, tap. I froze. I slowly looked up. The outside porch light was flickering in the rain. Standing on the other side of the glass doors was a woman, drenched in water, shivering. She had her head down, her hands pressed against the glass, and she was crying. I immediately felt a rush of guilt. Someone was stranded out there. I stood up, grabbing the keys to unlock the deadbolt. But as I took a step closer, she spoke. "Please, David, open the door. My car broke down. I'm so cold, David." A tap voice that later grew louder from outside the window. My blood ran ice cold. Nobody knew my name out here. I hadn't told anyone where I worked. wasn't what terrified me. What terrified me was the voice. It was my mother's voice. Exactly her voice. The exact same inflection. The exact same slight rasp when she cried. But my mother lived in Ohio, over 600 miles away. David, please. It's Mom. Open the door. Tears welled up in my eyes. Every instinct in my human body screamed at me to open that door, to save my mother. My hand was shaking as it hovered over the deadbolt. But then, I remembered Rule 4. It is not them. Do not look at its face. I slowly pulled my hand away from the lock. I stepped back.
The crying outside abruptly stopped. The silence was deafening. Heartbeat stops. A wet, sickening sound of flesh shifting against glass.
You should have opened the door, David.
The voice whispered through the glass. But it didn't sound like my mother anymore. It sounded distorted, wet, like multiple voices speaking at once. I couldn't help it. I looked up. The thing standing on the other side of the glass was wearing my... I dropped to the floor behind the desk. I curled into a ball, pressed my hands over my ears, and closed my eyes so hard they hurt. I laid there for 5 hours, listening to it scratch at the glass, begging me in my mother's voice, threatening me in voices I had never heard. I didn't move until I saw the morning sun creeping through the blinds. When Arthur, the manager, returned at 8 a.m., he found me sitting on the floor, staring blankly at the wall. He didn't ask what happened. He just looked at the deep, terrifying scratch marks left on the outside of the bulletproof glass. "You didn't open it," he said quietly. "Most new guys do." I didn't say a word. I handed him the keys, walked out to my car, and drove away. I never went back for my paycheck. I never drove down Route 9 again. And sometimes, late at night, when the rain is heavy, I still hear my mother's voice, whispering from the other side of my bedroom door.